We have the two mayoral candidates for the city of Dunedin, Vice Mayor Julie Scales and Commissioner Julie Ward-Bujowski. Once again, each of our candidates has an opportunity for a 2-minute opening statement to introduce themselves and their background. And then we will have, similar to the County Commission, 3 questions, but not the same questions, that will be posed to both candidates. So they have drawn before we convened here, and Julie Bujowski will be the first speaker. So, Julie, you make the opening statement, please.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Julie Ward-Bujowski, and I am running to be Dunedin's next mayor. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up here in Dunedin. I went to Dunedin High School, and my son now goes to Dunedin High School, and my family's been here for generations. I've had the honor to serve you for 8 years on our city commission. And during that time, I've represented you to the PSTA. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the work that we did to bring the trolley to Dunedin and North County. You know, Dunedin has so many things that are special about it. You really just can't think of one thing you can put your finger on. But how about that Dunedin Causeway that we've been talking about tonight? That's pretty special. I know that I've been going out there since I was a kid. But now try to imagine the Dunedin Causeway with a bridge from end to end. Not if I can help it. So how do we ensure that we get what we need with the Dunedin Causeway Bridge? We lead. We bring the county officials and local stakeholders into the room together and find some common ground and ensure that we get a compatible bridge for Dunedin. And to me, that's setting the right tone for Dunedin. And what about spring training and Major League Baseball? That's pretty special too. You know, Dunedin is a baseball city for generations. Did you know that the Blue Jays bring in over $80 million of economic impact to our region? It's pretty good for our city. So how do we keep the Jays here? We lead by bringing the best minds in the region together and financially partner with us. And we say without hesitation that the Blue Jays and baseball belong in Dunedin. I believe that the mayor really represents the personality of a community. That the Dunedin should have someone who's collaborative, works well with others, and who believes in relationship building in not only Dunedin, but beyond. If this is the type of leadership that you want for your mayor in the city of Dunedin, then I ask respectfully for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Vice Mayor Julie Scales, and I would like to share with you a few comments which I think will show that I am the candidate most qualified to be the next mayor of Dunedin. I'd like to share with you some of the projects and accomplishments of which I am most proud since having served on the Dunedin City Commission. In each of these, I played a leading or a key role, and with the assistance and support of my fellow commissioners, was able to make them happen. The Dunedin Causeway Boulevard Beautification Project, Neighborhood Enhancement Matching Grant Program, which has benefited dozens of neighborhoods in this city, a comprehensive work plan for infrastructure and other improvements on our south side, the Chronic Nuisance Ordinance, which will ensure that our neighborhoods remain safe and attractive. An economic development plan that emphasizes development that is consistent with the small town ambiance that our citizens love about this town. Zoning and land use changes for redevelopment of our commercial corridors. A public relations plan for promoting Dunedin as a destination for visitors. Amending our charter to preserve our iconic spaces such as the marina, Hammock Park, and the golf course from private development. Acquiring Dunedin Youth Guild Park, our newest waterfront park, up there by Mediterranean Manor. Designation of Dunedin as a green local government. The Dunedin Community Garden on Virginia Avenue. In almost every one of these projects and improvements began with me, Julie Scales, listening to a citizen. Julie Scales listens. These efforts are also consistent with the city's mission statement, which was developed and formulated with the help of our citizens. Maintenance of our community as a quaint coastal community that values innovation, but responsible development, prizes its open, green, and recreation space, and is committed to being sensitive to the environment. My commitment to the city is long, it is deep, it is strong. It makes me the candidate most qualified to be the next mayor of Dunedin.
Each of the candidates will have 3 questions, similar to the kind that were asked of the Pinellas County Commission candidates. So Julie Scales, you'll go first on this one. In a few short years, our lease with the Toronto Blue Jays will expire. What do you do to propose to keep them in Dunedin? If the club decides to leave, what do you propose to make up their huge economic loss?
Well, first of all, I would like to point out that the city 3 years ago, with the commission approving it and directing the city manager, contacted the Toronto Blue Jays and wanted to begin talking about what we would be doing when the lease expires in 2017. I guess that got off to a fitful start, is one way to describe it. But they apparently saw an opportunity on the other side of the state and spent some time pursuing that, and as is their right. It didn't work out for whatever reason. I'm not sure about that. And they came and expressed their interest to begin discussions with the city. Our city staff, with the approval of the commission, we've been kept advised on this, has been in regular contact with the Blue Jays. The city staff has also been working on several different scenarios anticipating what the Blue Jays' request may be. It's my understanding that we are expecting to hear from them very shortly. We're expecting, or they have said that they will put in writing what exactly their demands are. So that I think that we have a good relationship with them. We've been communicating with them, and I think that we are prepared to begin discussions with them once they submit their request.
Thank you. Same question for Julia Ward-Brzezowski.
Thank you. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. In a few short years, our lease with the Toronto Blue Jays will expire. What do you propose to keep them in Dunedin? If the club decides to leave, what do you propose to make up their huge economic loss?
Well, thank you. So the question is how do we keep the Blue Jays here? That's pretty simple. First, as I said earlier, Dunedin is a baseball city and has been for generations. But we also have to ensure that our residents get the best deal for their dollar as well. First thing I would do if I were elected mayor, given the changes that we've had on our commission, that we will have on our commission, is I would fly to Toronto and introduce myself to the leadership in Toronto and tell them nothing has changed. We are on the same track. We want to keep you here. Don't worry. That's the first thing. The second is we've just unanimously approved several months ago a group of regional stakeholders to come together and be our partners, help us with this process. Because, the Blue Jays don't just affect Dunedin. They, in fact, affect the entire region. So we need those regional officials to take ownership right along with us. Third, I think we need a professional negotiator, someone who is not emotionally invested, someone with Major League Baseball experience, and someone that can ensure that our residents get the best deal for their dollar. And finally, I think the city needs a champion that says to the Blue Jays, we want to improve on our relationship and we want you here. I think I can be that champion. Thank you.
Okay. Stay standing because you're going to be the first one for this next question. Discussions have already started on the replacement of the bridge on the Dunedin Causeway. Where do you stand on it?
The Causeway Bridge, where do I stand on it? I kind of talked about it a little bit before. I sit on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and if you don't know what that is a group at the county level that looks at all forms of transportation and transportation replacement, bridges being one of them. The county is in charge of the Causeway Bridge, not Dunedin. And when I heard that they had it coming up very soon for replacement, 2019, 2020, 2021, somewhere in that area, I knew that we as a city needed to hop on and talk with them to ensure that they knew, as our Mayor Eggers pointed out, we will have a room full in the Hale Center if they build a bridge to nowhere from end to end and take away our causeway. So we formed a committee in the city of Dunedin of local stakeholders, people that live out on the causeway, business people, people who can give their input. And they will be working side by side with the county engineers and giving input as to what this city expects from a compatibility level. I don't want to see what happened on Bel Air Causeway, which took their entire causeway. Our causeway is a park. It's not a road right-of-way. So I will continue to champion those efforts because the causeway is part of who Dunedin is. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I certainly believe very strongly that the input from our citizens on this issue is really key. And I'm very proud of the fact that, we as a commission did appoint a citizen group that will be responsible for staying on top of the process. Unfortunately, it's a long, drawn-out process. The initial phase is going to take about 3 years. And so therefore, I think it's very important that we be kept, stay on top of what's going on in that process, what the opportunities for input are. And I think that we as a group and as a committee really need to formulate our argument for the type of bridge that we want. The causeway is a recreational area. I think that really distinguishes it from other bridges that have been done in the county. Honeymoon Island does not lead to another major artery. It's a destination in its own. So a fixed span bridge, I think there are a lot of issues in my mind of the appropriateness of that. And I very much support not having a fixed span bridge.
Thank you. And Julie Scales, you're the first one on this. Do you support the Greenlight Pinellas initiative? Why or why not?
Yes, I do, and it was interesting listening to the comments of the various county commission candidates. I agree that this plan has some issues. It's not the best plan, but there is no question that we have a really deficient public transportation system in this county. And if this is going to be at least a first step toward improving the bus system, I support that.
Julie?
Thank you. Do I support Greenlight Pinellas? The simple answer is yes, I do. As Dunedin's representative to PSTA, I've worked hard to make sure Dunedin gets its fair share in this plan. So let me just tell you a few things that Dunedin, not St. Pete, not Tarpon Springs, but Dunedin will get from this plan. And because I am blind as a bat, I have to hold up my paper. A 7-day-a-week trolley service rather than just on the weekends. Seasonal trolley service to Honeymoon Island. Bus service to the airport. 15-minute bus service 7 days a week, including nights on State Road 580. A bus rapid transit line on US 19 that will take you to St. Pete or a Rays game if you so choose. A dramatically increased service on our North County connector that will pick you up at your front door. And finally, Dunedin homeowners will no longer be paying property tax and bearing the sole responsibility of financially supporting a transit system, because tourists, renters, and others will also be supporting this. Now, whether you support the plan or not really doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is that with someone like me, when I knew this plan was happening and I was sent to PSTA to represent you, I fought to make sure that you had good service from other agencies. And that's what tells you why I am a good candidate to be mayor for Dunedin.
And now we have randomly drawn questions, and there are 6 questions, so each will have 3 questions, and you just get to answer the one that you draw. forgot to bring the microphone with me, so I'll talk loud. How would you address the current disparity between the large and how would you address the current disparity between the large and smaller municipalities related to EMS in the county? Okay, got it.
Yep. Thank you. EMS is a very important issue in our county, and it's not something, of course, that we are decision makers on here in Dunedin. However, response times and providing quality public safety service to you is our responsibility. I know firsthand that from being a caretaker of my parents for 4 years and for also using the EMS service personally when I broke my back 4 years ago, that a response time is really important. So I think that we have to work very closely with the county to ensure that that remains, whatever changes they make to the system, that they don't mess with our response times. But how do you deal with the disparity between various communities? That's one for the books, I will tell you. I think that our firefighters, our EMS personnel, and our county are all trying to reason with that very same question. Dunedin has a wonderful fire department. We want to keep them, and they provide the service that we need. I can't speak to what Tarpon provides to their people or another smaller city provides to those, but our guys are cost efficient, effective, and they're there when you need them. Thank you. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
What do you propose to do to strengthen the enforcement of our city codes?
Well, currently we have 2 code enforcement officers. Well, let me back up. First, I would say that several years ago I brought to the commission a proposal to adopt a chronic nuisance ordinance. Basically, what that did was it gave the city, our code enforcement officers, the tools to actually get something done. We had a number of complaints coming in, basically relating to the Great Recession, where there are a lot of foreclosures, and you know, people kind of don't like the house across the street from them having that blue thing over the roof, you know, for 8, 10, 12 months. And we really didn't have the wherewithal to do that. Now, because of that code, the city is able to, in the case of where it's owned by a bank, take some action of the bank or kind of get, you know, do a wake-up call to the bank where they will want to fix it rather than face the consequences otherwise. So I think that that was a very important step in strengthening enforcement, just giving our enforcement officers the tools to do their job. And it's been effective and it's worked. Other than that, we have 2 code enforcement officers. Obviously with 2 people, they're not driving around the streets to look for violations. It's pretty much a complaint-based system. And I think that they do an outstanding job. It's not very many people to be on top of all of that. But I am always on the lookout for seeing how we can give them the tools, the strong tools to do their job.
This question is, the city has allocated funds for the Dunedin Fine Arts Center, Historical Society, the Dunedin Chamber, and tourism promotion through Visit Dunedin. Where do you stand on continuing or increasing this funding?
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I am a retired economic forecaster, and I've kind of looked at budgets, Florida's economy, and future trends. That's sort of in my blood. It's just what I've done for the last 20 years. And I believe that we are in a really good place. We're not quite there, but we're in a really good place. Having said that, the community on a whole, as I talked about earlier, is really a special community. What has made us different? What has set Dunedin apart? There's 100,000 things, the Causeway, the Blue Jays, but then there is the Historical Society and the Arts Center and the library and all of those other things that make Dunedin special, the concerts, the festivals. We're not just one thing. But I think it's really important that we continue to fund these things. These things are important to our community. They are many things that make us special. Our group, I like to call the city of Dunedin as a community of small groups that work together to make one big thing happen. Our big thing is who we are, Dunedin. And all of these small groups, the ones that were mentioned, the Historical Society, the Arts Center, and all of those other things, along with our Social Services Committee, our Public Relations Committee. We have our Public Safety Committee. Those things are all important, and they all deserve funding, and I support all of those things. Thank you.
Thank you. One more. One more for each. Yeah. There are known areas in the city that are prone to flooding. How will you address flooding issues on city streets? That's for. I'm
It's
getting
me.
confused. Julie Scales? Yes.
Well, did I do 2 questions in a row?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I was getting confused. I'm sorry. Then let's let you draw a question, Julie Scales. Okay. And I'm sorry to get you confused. No, because you drew it. I'll do this one. Okay, so during the recent recession, many cuts were made to the city's budget. Will any of those be restored or reconsidered in the future?
Well, I think one of the things I can say is I am committed to maintaining and perhaps enhancing the quality of life in this city that we have come to know. We have an excellent level of service, and we have a great recreational programs, opportunities for our youth, and entertainment and activities for people of all ages in this community. That is something that we are known for. It's a signature feature of our city. And to the extent that we can continue them just at that level, I think it's important that as things pick up and we have a little more revenues, that we're able to just maintain and perhaps to improve on that.
Okay. And Julie, back to you on there are known areas in the city that are prone to flooding. How will you address flooding issues on city streets?
Thank you. Stormwater has been a big issue in the city of Dunedin ever since probably in the last 20 or 30 years. The city did a stormwater master plan back in 1985. And I think when I came on the commission in 2006, it had only expended maybe $500,000 towards that plan that had been updated in 2003. So I'm very proud to say that I worked well with my other commissioners to triple, quadruple that funding, because we've spent over $20 million in stormwater and flooding abatement programs in 8 years, which is record-breaking for our city as compared to others. We believe that it's a quality of life issue, at least I do. When you're in your neighborhood and you walk out and your street's flooding or the water's coming up to your front door after a week of heavy rain like we've just had, that's a quality of life issue. We are just in the process of, in the next year, doing a stormwater master plan update to look at what's left to do, because there are still streets flooding. New York Avenue, one of them, between Patrician Oaks and Mies Manor, has been closed or semi-closed for a couple weeks now, off and on, because of the flooding. So we're going to re-look at where all the areas that we haven't hit yet, and we're going to make a new plan. And I promise you, we're going to get rid of the flooding in the city of Dunedin. Thank you.
Okay. And one last question for Julie Scales. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have read it. I'm getting tired, I can tell. Do you see Dunedin growing, and if so, how?
Well, I guess it would depend on what you mean by the word grow. Can we grow to be even better than we are, to be a leader in the things that we're known for? Certainly we can, and I support that in full. If you mean by growing, doubling the population, I have questions about that. Our citizens on a very regular basis tell me that what they like about this city is the small town ambiance. And I have been committed ever since I've been on the commission to maintaining that. And over the years, we've enacted a number of measures which I hope will go to ensure that. You know, one of them was lowering the height of how high buildings can be in the city of Dunedin. Our citizens have been very clear that they do not want to be a canyon of condominiums, and I am committed to that not happening. That kind of growth we do not want. What we want is responsible growth, growth that is consistent with the character of this city, with what our citizens want for this city. And growth, yes, but smart growth.
Thank you. Now we have the opportunity to hear the closing statements of each of the commissioners and mayoral candidates. And Julie Scales, you will be the one who will give your closing statement. 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. The Blue Jays, downtown parking, economic development, neighborhood improvement, waterfront preservation. Just some of the important issues facing Dunedin in the future. The new mayor of Dunedin must be able to understand these complex issues, to have the experience in dealing with complex issues, yet be calm, cool, and smart so we can achieve the best results at a cost that we can afford. The mayor of Dunedin must be more than just a promoter and cheerleader for projects. The mayor of Dunedin must lead by listening to its citizens, having all the pertinent facts on an issue, and using common sense in decision making. I look forward to working with the rest of the City Commission, with our city staff, our wonderful residents, Pinellas County, the state of Florida, and the federal government to achieve the best and most cost-efficient results for this city. My goal is to maintain and expand Dunedin's unique quality of life and lifestyle at a price that our residents can afford. My vision is a Dunedin that leads in the qualities it is best known for: open space and green space, an accessible waterfront, arts and culture, diversity, environmental sustainability, fiscal prudence, and responsible development. We can build on the past, but we must embrace the future.
Thank you very much.
I think I have a few seconds, so I did not go into my background at the outset because these cards are all over there, and I think a lot of you just know me. But at any rate, if you don't, please get a card, and it tells you my background and experience.
Thank you, Julie. And Julie Ward-Brzezowski.
Thank you, Sally. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak before you tonight, and I thank the Chamber for putting this function on. Dunedin will always be special to me. Growing up here, I've seen a lot of changes, but we've always strived to have a safe place to live, work, and play. Our crime rate is low, and we have one of the most cost-efficient law enforcement contracts around. As your commissioner, I'm really proud of the work that we did to promote the South Side and its historical neighborhood needs. How did we do this? We led by having our South Side Town Hall meeting, where we gathered residents, law enforcement, city department heads, and county department heads to find solutions to crime, beautification, absentee landlords, and recreational opportunities. But we can't stop there. There's so much more to do. We need to continue our sense of community, and that's setting the right tone for Dunedin. Looking to our future, we must collaborate together on many things. Solving our parking issues in the downtown, promoting tourism, achieving smart economic development, advocating for our environment, supporting tourism again, fostering inclusiveness, and keeping our taxes low. A mayor really does reflect the personality of a community. It takes a person that is approachable, compassionate to the issues, and collaborates well with others. It takes someone who is the face of the everyday, average Dunedin resident. I'm humbled to have received the endorsements of the Fraternal Order of Police, Equality Florida, Pinellas County Realtors Association, and finally the Tampa Bay Times. If this is the type of leader that you want for Dunedin as your next mayor, I humbly ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you both. You were excellent presenters, and we heard a lot about the issues and where you come from. Audience, thank you so much for being here. Marty, thank you for being a great timekeeper, and we really value your being here. Pete, do you want to say anything to close?
Again, I'd like to thank all the candidates that came out. Good luck in the upcoming election. I want to thank the staff at the Hale Center and all of you for coming out tonight. Everybody drive safe going home. Thank you.